Ma'am, are you able to see, ma'am?
Yeah, yes, I'm able to see.
Ma'am, my program is second program, ma'am, cricket tournament.
Okay.
In that cricket, we have ABC cricket tournament ABC Cup organized by an organization.
Mm-hmm.
In that, we are creating a table called player. In that
Mm-hmm.
player, we are creating like a player ID that is primary key that is uniquely identified, and player name, age, and phone number. And we are using varchar to store the variables.
Mm-hmm.
Then next table is a team table. We are creating a team table. In that, we are including team ID.
Mm-hmm.
That is also primary key, and
Mm-hmm.
team name, city, coach, captain, and reference. We are taking the player ID in the referencing the player table, ma'am. And then next table is match table, that we include in that matched, that is also a primary key. And result, reference team is taken from the team ID is referenced by team table, and MOM man of the match, and references by the player table, that is called player ID. And then next table is stadium. In that stadium ID, that is also a primary key, and S name, city, area, and pin code. And then next table is place. In that matched, that is referenced by match table, and then team ID 1 referenced by team, and team 2, that is also referenced by team table. And then stadium ID referenced by stadium table, and match date, time. That's all, ma'am, included. And in table player played for, we are including player ID, team ID, and varchar. Team ID. That's all, ma'am. And for that, we have created the tables. For that, we are inserting the values. The table which we created, for that we are inserting the values here. First, in player values, we are inserting as player ID, player name, age, phone number. In the next table, we are inserting the team values, that is team ID, team name, city, coach, captain. Then in next table, match values. In that, matched, result, and man of the match. And next, we are inserting stadium values, that is stadium ID, S name, city, area, pin code. And next, we are inserting place values. In that, matched, team ID 1 and team ID 2, stadium ID, matched, time. And played for, in that we are inserting for the value, we are inserting player ID values and team ID values. Then I'll go to query, ma'am. Now in this query, ma'am, are you able to listen, ma'am?
Yeah. Yes, Pavitra.
Ma'am,
Yes,
in the
Pavitra.
query, we are here. The question is display the youngest player in the tournament. That is, we have to display in that name, team name, and age in that tournament. So we are taking player name, team name, and age from the player and team table, and played for table, where player ID is equal to PF and player ID and team ID is equal to PF. We are taking from the played for team, and that we are selecting the minimum age from the player table. So we are displaying player name, team name, and age. And here for that query, we are getting the answer as Rahul Delhi 32 and Rahul RCB 32, ma'am. Then in next query is list the details of the stadium where the maximum number of matches were played. So in this, we are taking the stadium ID. In that stadium, we are counting the matches from the place table, stadium table, and match table. So where means place stadium ID is equal to S. S means stadium ID, stadium. table, and p dot matched is equal to m dot match means from place dot matched is equal to m dot match means match table.
Okay.
Ma'am?
Pavitra?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, are you able to listen, ma'am? Hello? Hello?
Yes, Pavitra, able to see here. Kelsta
Yes,
idya?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm going wrong, ma'am. Anywhere?
No. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And we are taking p dot matched is equal to m dot matched. So we are taking the place has p dot match, and m dot matched means we are taking the table name has match table name has m. So grouped by s dot stadium ID having count matched m from the matched table. That is equal to maximum count we are taking from the match table from the place table and grouped by the stadium table. So for that query, we are getting stadium ID and count has S0, 1 and 4. You are able to listen, no, ma'am?
Yes, Pavitra, I am able to listen.
Yes, ma'am. List the next query is list the details of the player who is not a captain but got the man of the match award at least in 2 matches. So select a player ID. We are taking the p dot player ID and p dot player name from the player table, where the player p dot player ID select we are selecting the player ID from the player table and minusing that from the captain. We don't want the captain, so we are minusing the captain from the team, and player also we are and we are intersecting the player from. We're intersecting the player and selecting the man of the match. M dot man of the match means match from the match table. We are taking M and M of man of the match from the match table, and grouping that M dot M man of the match having count at least means greater than 2 or match table should be greater than 2 or is equal to 2. For that query, we are getting player ID has P03 and player name has Virat. And next query is display the team details who won the maximum matches. In that, we are in this query we are displaying the who won the maximum matches. So in that we are taking the result. Result m dot result means we are taking the match table. From that result we are taking and counting that from the match table and the team table, where the team ID is equal to m dot result. So we are taking the team table and comparing means is equal to with the match table m dot result and grouping by the result having count m dot match is equal to select maximum count. We are selecting the maximum who played who won the maximum matches. So we are counting and grouping by them. So we get the result as T03 and T02 and count the matches how much they have played, that is 2. And fifth query is display the team name where all its one matches played in the same stadium. So we should display that who have won the matches, they have played in the same stadium or not. So in that select m dot match, we are taking the match table and m dot result means matched. In that match table we are taking the result, and p dot stadium means we are taking the place table. In that stadium ID we are taking, and t dot city means we are taking the team table. S dot city means stadium dot city. From match m place from match means match table and place table and team table stadium table, where m dot match is equal to p dot matched. So match means match table is equal to p dot matched. P dot match means place dot matched, and s dot stadium ID is equal to p dot stadium ID. S dot stadium ID means stadium is s dot stadium dot stadium ID is equal to p means place table, and m dot result means match. In that match table we have using result, so we are taking the result, and that is equal to t dot team ID means team table dot team id, and s dot city is equal to t dot city. So s stadium dot city is equal to team dot city. We are displaying this matched result stadium id city. In that we are getting the values like this: M01, T01, S01, and MUM Mumbai, like stadium Mumbai and city Mumbai. We are updating the stadium table. City, that is set city is equal to Mumbai, where stadium is equal to S01. Ma'am,
Yes. Yes.
did I do
Yes,
correct, ma'am?
Pavitra. Yes, Pavitra.
Ma'am, this is ER diagram, ma'am. In this, we are having entity like player, team, match, stadium, and attributes for player ID. We are having the phone, PID, age, and P name has a attributes, and PID is the primary key. And we are having the relationship between team and player is captain of table, captain of reference. And in that team entity, we are having T name, city, coach, and T ID. So T ID is a primary key here. And match entity, we are having MID, that is called primary key. And we are relating the man of the match and player. Both we are relating from one by one, from one to one. And we are having a stadium and stadium entity. In that stadium entity, we are having S name, SID, pin code, area, and city. In that SID is a primary key. We are relating match and stadium with a played at. And we are having play table, a play entity, that is we are having winner, venues, date, and time, that is related by match and team. And we are having a schema diagram. We are taking tables like we are including the table name, team, player, stadium, matches, and player off, I think. And TID, T name in team schema, that is a TID, T name, coach, captain ID, city. From TID is referenced by, it is also connected by, or taking the same TID has in player also, and same TID is taken by matches also. And here in player ID, PID, P name, age, and TID. PID is taken from captain ID from the team table, and we are also taking PID in the matches team, winning team ID. We are also referring that player PID for the match also. And then stadium, SID, S name, pin code, city, area. And in stadium, SID is referenced by, means taken by matches also. In matches, MID, M date, time, SID, team 1 ID, team 2 ID, winning team ID, man of the match. Man of the match is taken by PID, means referencing PID. And player phone means PID and phone number we are having, and that is PID is referenced by the player played off, I think. And player ID is referenced by player table, PID.
Okay.
That's all, ma'am.
Okay.
Rakesh, ma'am.
Yeah, yesterday Manjunath, Junjar and Rashmi gave, right? Rashmi, Junjar, and Manjunath yesterday gave, right? Manjunath?
Yes, ma'am.
3 of you gave. Yeah, next person.
Yeah.
Next.
Ma'am, it's Rizwan.
Yeah, next.
Rakesh, ma'am.
Ma'am, next to Diksha, ma'am.
Rakesh.
Ma'am, after Diksha, I will explain, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yes, you can start, Rakesh.
ma'am, program 3, ma'am, consider the following scenario and design an ER diagram and map the designed ER diagram into a relational model. Consider an organization, ABC, and I take here in this program, I take one company, ma'am, and I want to take one company, Accenture. And in Accenture, so many employees are
Rakesh,
Ma'am?
not shared. Kanasthaila.
Okay. No, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, third program, ma'am. Here I take one company name example for I take Accenture. In Accenture, so many employees are work, and employees works for department. So many departments here in company Accenture. A department. I take an example. A lot of companies is there: accounts and finance and HR and sales and marketing and infrastructures and research and developments and learning and developments, IT services, product developments, and admin departments. These are all the departments, various departments is there in Accenture. And in every, in each employee have a email, employee ID and having their name, ma'am, and address contain house number and city and district and state and pin code and more than one phone number, and department identify using and each department is identified using department number, ma'am, and having department name and department location is there, and each department having manager, ma'am, and in each department in sales and marketing, in every department as a manager is there, and each department having many employees, and there are many projects are there, and project is controlled by departments, and each project uniquely identify using project number, and having project's name is there, project for project and project locations, and employee works on projects and hours per week and worked in each project, and employees also needs to be recorded in the database. Projects is worked by many employees, and each employee is supervised by the supervisor, and employees having many departments and departments having dependent, and each dependence is there for employees, and dependent's name and gender, age and address, and departments identify using employee ID. So in this program, employee table is there. So in employee table, employee ID is a primary key, and is then through data type, that is varchar, and employee name is there, and address, and super ID is there. So why we use this super ID? Because HR is also an employee in company. So for that reasons, we have to use this, and varchar using this is the data type and department number, and another table is there, employee phone number, and here we write employee ID and reference, that is employee. From here I take a reference from employee ID and the phone number, and another. So here I can alter the table using that reference, and that is I will using super converted into the super email ID. So another table is there, department table, and department table contains department numbers. So it is a primary key of the department table, and department name and department location, and bracket department manager ID and reference from employee, and project table is there, and project table contains project number. It's a primary key of this table, and project name and project location, and department number, that is the reference by department table, and works on, it's a weak entity. This works on table, it's a weak entity because it's not containing and the primary key. So it's in this table all referenced by other table, so it does not contain primary key, so that it's a weak entity. And so here I reference the employee ID from employee table, and phone number and project number and hours, and another table is there, dependent, and dependent table contains dependent ID and it's a reference by employee ID and the department name, and a dependent have some gender like male or female, so like and the age, that is through data types nothing number. And here I inserted all those values: employee ID and employee name and address and super email ID, employee ID and department name. So here also I inserted employee ID and phone number. Here also I inserted department number and department name and department location and department manager ID. And project, for project also I insert project number, project name and project location and department name. For work done, also I input employee ID and phone number and hours, how much hours he is working. And here also dependent, my employee, here I insert employee ID and a dependent name and gender and address and age. So first query says display the details of employee who are working on both the projects having project number 5 and 10. So here in this query, when we are come to this query, so we are concentrated only on employee table and project table. So here the employee who is working on both project 5 and project 10. So here query select star from employee. I have to select from employee table where employee ID and select and employee ID from employee and project and works on where employee ID equal to works and employee ID and P dot phone number and works and equal to P5 and interest, and select E dot employee ID from employee and project P works on and where E and employee ID equal to works on employee ID and P dot P number equal to W and P1 P numbers and W dot P project number equal to P10. Here I mention only, here I get other project number also I can put here. So I put 4 or 5, like 4 or 8, then only I get. So who will working on that project, that name I get here. So here Rama is working on both the projects, that is 5 and 10, and display the details of employees having at least 2 dependents. And so in this query we are concentrated only on employees and department a dependent table. So display the details of employees having at least 2 dependent, and we have to search the dependent table. So in department independent, so independent, so employee ID and employee name and address and super employee ID. So here I mentioned because HR also have a dependent, and the E02, it's a name of Asha, and is an address like this. And this third query is the display the project name on which more number of employees are working. So more number of employees are working on that project. So that projects I will be displayed here. So select project name and project number and project name from project table, and where project number select project number from works on and grouped by this project numbers having count, and employee ID equal to select maximum will count here. So employee ID from works on and grouped by phone number, project number. So here I get result that is P2. So P2 project. So most of the employees are working for many of the employees are working for this project B. And fourth query is retrieve the employees who do not have any dependent. So in this, some companies, obviously in companies, some pressure is there. They don't have a dependent. So I have to get that people's name here. So using this query, select start from employee where employee ID and select employee ID from employee, and the minus from that select employee ID from dependent. So in dependent, we get what are the dependent employees who have dependents. So I minus from that, I will get this result. And the fifth query is display the employee details or total number of hours per week working on various projects in a maximum than all other employees. In the works on table, I get these results like in works on table, I have mentioned the hours for each employees and project also. And using this query, select start from employee where employee ID and select employee ID from works on group by employee ID having some of here I sum the hours and select maximum hours from works on and grouped by employee IDs. So here I get the result, and create a view to display the number of employees working on each department. And here I get here I use this view because in companies I want only the my details, so I am not able to see other details. So here I use this using this view I can view my data. So what is the status of our status in my company? So using create and the number of employees per departments. Here I want only the number of employees. So that's why I use this syntax and select department numbers and count and employee ID and number of employees from employee grouped by department number. So I get this result. And ER diagram. So ER diagram is nothing but so we have to relations between the departments and relations between the tables and attributes, that columns, that so all about this in ER diagram. So in this ER diagram, and employee and the dependent and projects. So these three tables having a primary key. So it's a major table, and employee has a primary key of employee ID and the employee name and address, and project is an project number and project name and project location, and departments have a department locations, department numbers and department names. And employees is works for, so employees is work for department. So employees is manageable by department. So employees will manage by departments, that is managers. So and works on that is so employees is works on for projects. So that is here. And so schema diagram is nothing but a difference between some primary keys and reference key. So in schema diagram, we have to talk about only that difference between primary key and reference key. So in this employee table, so employee ID is and primary key, and name and address and super ID and department number. And projects is a project number and project name and project locations and department number. So in department, and here I take a reference from projects. So that is department numbers and department name and department location, and manager ID and dependent. So here I take a reference and department name and gender and age and address and employee ID, and that's it, ma'am.
Okay. Next person.
Diksha, ma'am.
Yeah, Diksha.
Ma'am, after Diksha Deepika ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, after Deepika MB, I will explain ma'am Deepika LG.
Okay, all D's will do today.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Fast.
हाँ
Diksha?
मैम 2 minutes. हाँ मैम 2 minutes. Hello ma'am, fourth ma'am. Fourth program.
Yes, yes,
In
Diksha.
fourth program, a country can.
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ increase madam. Font size increase. Okay. Okay.
Now it's visible, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
In a fourth program, a country can have many tourist places. Each tourist place which is identified by tourist place ID, which having the name and which belongs to state, and number of kilometers away from the capital city of the state, which is containing many. There are many tourists. They visit tourist places for every year. So each tourist place is identified uniquely by its tourist ID, which having the name, age, country, and email IDs. A tourist visits many tourist places. It required records to visit a date in the database. A tourist can visit a tourist place many times at different dates. So a tourist place can be visited by tourists either in the same date or different date. So here we create a 4 table. First is a tourist place and tourist, and third is visits, and fourth is a email. In first table, tourist place, where it contains a tourist place ID, which is primary key, and history, kilometer, and state, and tourist place name. These are the attributes. And the next table is tourist. It contains tourist ID, which is nothing but primary key, and country, age, and tourist name. Then next table is visits. Here, tourist place ID, which is refers from a tourist place, and the tourist ID, which is refer from tourist. And we visit data. It is a primary key. Next table is email, which contain tourist ID. It is refers from tourist table, and it contain email as a primary key. Then we insert values into these tables, and we can display the contents of the tables from select star from table name. Then the next is queries. So in first query, we display the list of the state name, which is having maximum number of tourist places. So we select the state from tourist place, which is grouped by state having count. Select max count state from the tourist place, which is grouped by state. So we display 4 states, ma'am. Then next query is list the details of the tourist place where maximum number of tourists are visited. So select a star from tourist place where tourist place ID in the select tourist place ID from visits grouped by tourist place ID having count tourist place ID, which is select max count tourist place ID from which is visits grouped by tourist place ID. We get output as 2, which is beach and temple 13, tourist place ID and 14. Next is a third query. Here we display the list of details of the tourists we visited all tourist places of the state of Karnataka. So we write query as a select star from tourist T where tourist ID in select TID from visits join tourist place on visits dot TPID is equal to tourist place and tourist place ID where state is equal to Karnataka, which is grouped by tourist ID, which is having count state in select count from tourist place where state is equal to Karnataka. So we get tourist name as a so we get output TID as 22. And then fourth query is display the details of the tourists visited at least one tourist place of the state, but visited all the states tourist places. So we write query as a select star from tourist T, where T dot TID in select TID from visits join tourist place on visits dot TPID is equal to tourist place dot TPID, which is grouped by TID having count which contain distinct data in select count from tourist place. So we get output as TID 23. Then fifth query is we display the details of the tourist place visited by tourists of all the countries. In this query, we get output as a TPID 11 and 13. Then next is a schema diagram. Here in the schema diagram, tourist which contain TID, TName, age and country. Then is tourist place which contain TPID, TName, state, history and kilometer, which is and next is email, TID, email, TID and email, and next is a visits, TID, TPID and VDate. Visits refer from tourist place and email refers from tourist, and visit also refers from tourist. And then next is a ER diagram where it contain a tourist and tourist place as a entity, visits as a visits relationship between a tourist and a tourist place, where tourist contain country, age, TID, TName as attributes, and tourist place contain kilometer, history, state, TPID and TP name as attributes, where visit it contain relation it contain VDate, which represents a relationship between tourist and tourist place. That's all, ma'am.
Okay, next person.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, is it visible?
No.
Ma'am, no?
Not, yeah, it's coming.
Ma'am, now?
Yeah, it is visible.
I got second program, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, consider is cricket tournament ABC Cup. So the cricket tournament like ABC Cup, who has organized it like by an organization. So in the tournament there are many teams contesting. Each team having a team ID, team name, city, and a coach. So each team is uniquely identified by using team ID. Here in team ID is the primary key. So uniquely identified is nothing but a primary key. So a team can have many players and a captain. So each player also uniquely identified is nothing but a primary key. So here the player ID is the primary key, and we have to create the table player. So in player ID, so that we have stored data type as varchar. So here in player ID is the primary key, and player name that we have stored in the data type called varchar. So age and phone number. So that we have to display player ID. So the primary key column cannot have null values. So here we display that not null player name, player ID, age, and phone number. So same thing in table team also. Here team ID. So here the team ID is the primary key. So in team name, city, coach, captain, and that we have taken reference as player. So here we have to display team ID, team name, city, coach, and captain. In match table also, in match varchar. So here is the match is the primary key. So that we have references team and that we have your MOM. So that is nothing but man of the match. That is a foreign key. So that we have referenced as player from the table player, and it displayed as match result and man of the match. And in stadium also, here the stadium ID is the primary key. So the stadium name, city, area, and pin code number. And in place also, match varchar that we took references as match from the table match. So your team ID 1 and the team ID 2, and references from the team table. And stadium, and that we have to references stadium and match which date it starts from, and the time also. And also we have to display the place, matches, team ID, and also stadium ID, match date, and time. What particular time we have to play like that. So here also create played for. So this is only for the query purpose that we are using this played for table name. And we have to, after that we have to insert the particular table name called player. So in this, insert into player values, player ID, player name, age, and phone number. So we have to insert all the values. So and also we have to select from the select start from player. We have to display whatever we have inserted values. And in team also, whatever we are inserted, we have to display those things. In match also, match result and man of the match we have to display. And in stadium table also, we have to display stadium ID, stadium name, and the city, area, and also pin code. And we have to display whatever we are inserted in the stadium table. And in place also, match and team ID 1, team ID 2, stadium ID, and match date and time. We have to display all the details what we have inserted thing. And also here from query, in the first query, so display the youngest player in terms of age is nothing but like we have to display the who is the youngest player in the tournament. So that we have to display their names and team name and age. So select p dot player name we have to display, and team name, which team he belongs to, and which, and also which take a player table name called player, and also team where player ID and team ID. We have select minimum p dot age from player p is nothing but he has played more. He has played for twice times. Like here we are selecting the Rahul and Rahul. Player name Rahul and Rahul. Team name Delhi and RCB. Age is 32. So out of 15 peoples in the match, so who is the youngest player? We have to select that one. So here it displays Rahul. So Rahul is the youngest player in the tournament out of 15 members. So he has played for 2 times. So it displayed as Delhi and RCB. And in second query, we have to display the details of stadium where maximum numbers of matches were played. Like maximum is nothing but like who has played more matches. And also select S dot stadium ID count. Like count means like how many matches they are played in the stadium. We have to display, and also that count is nothing but is a built-in function. So like aggregate function. So we are, and also stadium ID count from place, that we have taking place table and stadium table and match table. So we are comparing the stadium ID in the play table, and also that in a stadium table. So these two columns should be matched that in a play table matched ID that we are grouping based on the stadium ID. So it displayed as stadium ID and count. So stadium ID is S01. So count is how many matches they are played. So 4 matches they are played. So it's displayed like this. And third one queries, we have to display the details of player who is not a captain but got the man of the match award at least in 2 matches. Like first, select P dot player ID. So we have like who got man of the match more than twice time from the team player. Intersect is nothing but we have to say that check out. We have to check the common things like uh, who got man of the match, like more than twice time we have to say like that, and he should be greater than 2, but he's not a captain but he got the man of the match twice. That particular name we have to display, and particular name and particular ID we have to display. So it shows like player ID is P03. So player name is the Virat. So he's not a captain, but he got more man of the match in uh, 2 times. So in fourth query, uh, display the team details who won the maximum matches. So here m dot select dot m select m dot result. So result column. So how many matches they are played? We have to first count that one, and also from it's from match table and team table. So we are comparing with the team ID and with the resultant team ID. So we have to count like how many matches they are played. So who won the maximum matches. So it shows like result will be T03, T02. So the count is 2 and 2. So it displays like how many matches they own the matches. And the fifth query is display the team name where all its own matches played in the same stadium. So in this we have to display who won the matches played in this same stadium. So select m dot match it. So one and m dot result p dot stadium ID t dot city s dot city. T dot city is from one is from team table. S dot city is nothing but stadium table. So one is from team table and another one is table. So from match table and place table and team and stadium. So which is and also result also which team has won the result, which city has won the particular stadium who won the match. So it displays match at M01. So result will be T01. Stadium ID is S01. City is Mumbai. So like that. So this is the diagram. So here player and team and stadium is the strong entity table, because here player is consisting of phone number, player ID, age, phone number, and is connecting of captain of team name, city, coach, and team ID. So here in player ID is the primary key. So in TD is the team ID is the primary key. So same way that in uh, play and match is the foreign key, because they are fetched the details from the other team. So that in stadium also, in stadium SID is the primary key, stadium name and pin code, area and city. So that that played who is man of the match, the player who is like man of the match in the match of played at stadium. So in match and play is the foreign key. So match is only consisting of match is also a primary key, but is consisting of MID. But the details are fetched from the other team names. And diagram. So here in team ID, team name, coach, and captain ID and city. Here the team ID is the primary key, and in player PID, P name, age, and PID. So here the PID is the like player name, player ID is the primary key. In stadium also, SID is the primary key. In matches also, MID is the primary key, and in player also, PID and phone number is the primary key. So according to that, we have to find the foreign keys like captain ID. So we have to connect in the PID. So wherever we find the reference code and the foreign key, we have to underline that particular foreign keys. Yes, ma'am.
Deepika. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Next person. You can stop sharing.
Okay,
you
ma'am.
can stop sharing. Next person.
Ma'am.
Last. Only one is the last person. It's already 12:42.
Ma'am,
Deepika, if
Ashit,
you want to give today or tomorrow?
Ma'am, 5th program execution also, ma'am.
Start madallappa.
Ma'am, can I visible?
Yeah, it is visible. It is visible.
Ma'am, first program, ma'am.
Yeah.
In first program, create the following table with the properly specified primary key, foreign key, and solve the following queries. First, we have to create the tables called branch, student, book, author, and borrow. In branch table, branch ID is the primary key, and it contains the data type of worker of size 10, and then branch name and HOD having the same data type of worker. Then we have to create the table called student. In student, USN is the primary key, and then student name, address, branch, student name, address are the attributes, and branch ID is reference to the branch table, and and then create the author table. In author table, author ID is the primary key, and author name having the data type of worker and size 15, and then country having the worker of size 15, and also age is the number. Then we have to create the table called book. In book, book ID is the primary key, and book name, author book name of worker of size 15, and author ID is reference to the author and publisher, and branch ID is also reference to the branch table. Then we have to create the borrow table. In borrow table, USN reference to the student table, book ID is also reference to the book table, and borrow date is having the data type of worker, and then insert the values to the branch table. These are all the inserted data, and then we have to insert the values to the student, having the values of USN name, address, SEM, branch ID, and then we have to insert the values to the author, having the author ID, author name, country, and age, and then we have to insert the values to the book. In book table, we have to insert the book ID, book name, author ID, publisher, and branch name, branch ID, and then also we have to insert the values to the borrow. In borrow table, we have to insert the values to USN, book ID, borrow date, And then in first query we have to list the details of student who are all studying in second sem MCA. The query is select yes USN, yes name, yes address, SM, B branch name from the student branch, where branch ID is related to table student, having the branch name MCA and having the SEM 2 second SEM, and USN have it displays the output. Then in second query, who are all the students who are not borrowed any books, select USN and the name from the student, where USN in select from student table and minus the select distinct USN from the borrow, and then displays the USN and name in the output. Then in third query, we have to display the USN, student name, branch name, book name, and author name, and books borrow date from the MCA SEM. From this second SEM MCA student who borrowed books, and it displays and this displays the USN name, branch name, book name, and all. In fourth query, we have to display the count, displays the number of books written by each author. Select A author ID, count the number of books ID from the book, and overall author is written each book, where having the group by author ID, it displays the output. Then we have to display, then fifth query, we have to display the student details who are borrowed more than two books, and that also it displays. In sixth query, displays the student details who borrowed books from more than one author. Select USN, count the author ID from the student yes borrowed, and book BK, author A, where USN is equal to borrowed USN, and BK book ID and BO book ID, and A author ID is equal to is more than one book. It displays the output. Then we have to display the book name in descending order of their name. So we have to select start from book, order by book name in descending order. It will displays. Then we have to list the details of student who borrowed the book, which all published by the same publisher. So select S USN, yes name, B book name, B publisher from the student, student S student book, and borrowed BO, where USN is equal to BO USN, and B dot book ID is equal to BO dot book ID, and B dot publisher, I will giving book name, the publisher name as TTT. Then it will displays. This is the this is schema diagram. In a branch, branch ID, branch name, HOD are the attributes. In student, USN name, address, SEM, branch ID are the attributes. In student, branch ID is reference to the branch table. Then book ID, book name, publisher, branch ID, and author ID. Branch ID is also referring from branch, and book ID is reference to author. Then author in author ID, author name, country, age are the attributes. Author ID is reference from reference to book in the table book. And then we have borrow. In borrow, USN, book ID, borrow date are the attributes. In borrowed, USN as reference to student table, and book ID is also, and then book ID is reference to book table. And this is the ER diagram. In branch, entity, branch is an entity having the attributes of branch ID, branch name, HOD, and is relates to students also. Students is an entity, students having the USN name, address, and SEM. Both branch and students are relates to book entity. In book, author ID, book ID, publisher are the attributes, and the book author, in author ID, author name, country, age are the attributes. Author is also reference to book. In borrow table, borrow date is an attribute. It's all relates. That's it, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, we'll stop for today. We'll continue
Ma'am,
tomorrow.
first one just execution, ma'am.
Here, Torsappa.
Okay.
Ma'am, mine also only execution. Ma'am.
Everyone will say now like this. Harshit, ಬೇಡಪ್ಪ ಈಗ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ನೀನು ಒಂದು ತೋರಿಸಿಲ್ಲ, ಸಾರಿ. ಇಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ನಾನು ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪಿಂಗ್. ಇಲ್ಲ
Ma'am, 1 minute, ma'am, just